we go. All right, we've got a bit of card ladder, a bit of us on the screen. We're good to go.
Cool.
What episode number is this? 34? Four?
Let me have a look at my phone. But
The notes say 34.
Yeah.
I trust the notes.
Yeah, 34.
Oh, good. Good.
Yeah.
Oh, you want me to lead it in?
Of course.
Of course.
That's your job.
Yeah, I've got my role. I found my colleague. What are we're discussing? The Dejounte Murray, especially the Dejounte.
Yes. Yeah. So week 1 free agency.
Yep. What's
the
happening?
Jordan rookie card. What is the rookie card?
Let's go to Twitter. I'm going to click links. Redirecting. Posts. Okay. What's an original rookie card and why?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then I think we should talk about this Anthony Edwards card. I think that's...
Oh, yeah?
That's some big cheddar.
Yeah. That's good. All right. All right.
Cool. I think that's about it, mate.
I think that's pretty much it. We've got a listener question.
Yeah.
All right. Welcome everybody to episode 34 of the You Can't Comp This NBA Trading Card Podcast. I'm your co-host Adam Amy. With me, as always, Russell Gibson. Russell, how are you going?
Good, mate. How are you tonight?
I'm fantastic. The NBA has gone off its tree. It's
just kicking off, isn't it?
The off season is literally going off. We've had trades, we've had free agency open. I mean, we had the draft, and now everything. You're right. You said it earlier. I believe you said it last week. There is no off season.
No.
And the NBA, there's no off switch.
We didn't get a day off. Yeah,
we didn't. It's
summer league's already started, so a pro-am league started. Yeah.
There's heaps to discuss. I believe we're going to do a deep dive into one of the big trades leading up to free agency and Dejounte Murray. We've also got a bit of rookie card talk that we took from the interwebs. And what was the other one? There was an Anthony Edwards that we want to talk about that was recently sold. So
absolutely.
And I believe we've also got a listener question. So plenty on the show today.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's kick it off with Dejounte.
Yeah, let's just get straight into it. So this has just been on my mind all week. I'm not going to lie to you. A lot of the other stuff that's been happening has just been sort of background noise. You know, the Westbrook, Kyrie, Kevin Durant stuff. I could really care less about all of that.
I care deeply, but not in the way you think. I just want it to end.
It's just background noise.
I want the pain to stop.
Yeah, of course you do. And you just want another championship. That's all you Lakers want. You know?
That's all we want. Just another ring. That's all.
But this is a serious piece of basketball talk, and I think there's actually a lot to it. And I think that's where I've sort of been going to, this week, is just listening to as many different people talk about it who are significantly, smarter than I am, and also to trying to get a few different sources. So I think where I started with this is, where did the genesis of the trade happen? So actually, I should step back before that. Not everyone might know the trade. So Dejounte Murray was traded from San Antonio, and he ended up in Atlanta. And basically, it was just Dejounte and Jack Landale. I should know
Jock
this.
Landale.
Jock Landale. Yeah.
The Aussie?
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So it was Dejounte Murray and Jock Landale, and he was sent to the Hawks. In return, they got back Danilo Gallinari.
Yep.
Who's been already waived.
He's already been waived.
But what San Antonio wanted and what they received was draft picks. So they got a 2023 draft pick that is coming from New York to Charlotte, and then it's coming to San Antonio protected. 2025 unprotected, 2027 unprotected, and then 2026 a pick swap. So essentially 3 unprotected first-round draft picks, which is it's a massive haul. And I think the context for why it's such a massive haul is that that's probably on par of what they'll get for Kevin Durant. So if KD gets traded, a good outcome for the Nets would be 3 unprotected first-round picks. So
Yeah.
in terms of asset movement, that's how important that is. I think really what it comes down to me, though, too, is where did Dejounte Murray come from? He was the 29th pick. So if you're turning the 29th pick into then 3 future first-round unprotected picks, and we were talking a little bit about this off air.
Yep.
These incompetent teams that just can't get things right, and then you've got someone like San Antonio doing something like this. Like, this is just, money for jam for them. So,
yeah. I'm actually trying to scroll through Instagram at the moment. I saw a quote from Dejounte himself.
Yep.
About this trade.
Yeah. And that was the next thing I was going to talk about, is the genesis. So where did this trade come from?
Yeah.
There's 2 different trains of thought on this. The first thought is, which was reported by Brian Windhorst, is that his management team went to the Spurs and said he's not going to re-sign with them in 2 years. He's got 2 more years left on his contract.
Yeah.
Trade him now because that's when you'll get the maximum return for it. So they got a very decent return for it. Then publicly, nothing was said by the Spurs and nothing was said by Dejounte Murray. And again, I think this is a really good sign of a professional organization who can take care of their business really well. And then after the trade happened, which I think this is what you're referring to,
yes,
he publicly went out and said, thank you to the Spurs organizations for basically not wasting my prime. The Spurs had no intention of winning a championship, and he wanted the chance to compete. Yeah. And the best chance for him to compete was to be traded. And that's what they gave him. And they gave him, I think, a very, very good destination. So,
yeah, I think it's such a respectable thing to do.
Yeah.
As an organization, and
100%.
And I guess it's one of those things where it's the Spurs. You don't expect any less.
No, definitely not. There's no controversy. There's no, public airing and all this type of stuff. It's just, they just take care of business and it's done. Yeah. The next part for me is the agent status. So how did the agencies play a role in this trade? Well, I actually think they played a huge role because Rich Paul represents Dejounte Murray. Yep. Who is part of Clutch Sports.
Yep.
And Trae Young is also part of Clutch Sports, and those 2 are best friends. So essentially, they've got a very close off-the-court relationship. Their agencies have come together and essentially made this trade happen. So I think that's a really important part here. The next part, I actually think in terms of who won the trade, I think the Hawks won the trade because they've walked away with the better player.
Well, that's it. They're in a position to win now.
Yeah.
And that's what they want. Yeah.
They needed to add another piece to this team. And I think if they could have done that without losing John Collins, I think that was the best possible outcome. And that's what they've done. That's exactly what they've done. Now, Dejounte Murray has still got 2 more years left on his contract at $16.5 million and $17.7 million, which in these days, sounds like a lot of money, but in NBA money, that's an absolute bargain for an all-star. So, that's just an absolute home run for them. So what did the trade get for the Spurs? So basically they're looking for the future. Why is it so important for the Spurs to regroup and bottom out now? Well, because next year is a massive draft.
Yeah.
And excuse my pronunciation, the prospect that everyone is hoping to get next year is Victor Wembanyama. This is terrible. Wembanyama. He's 7'2". He's mobile and he can literally do everything.
I was talking about this with someone last night. I'm concerned with someone that's 7'2", just because bigs are high injury prone. And anyway, that I'm not going to digress from this. So everyone's after to yeah.
Yes, bigs can get injured, but also bigs can be insanely skilled, and they could be doing a Tim Duncan 2.0 because actually, it's not the first time the Spurs have tanked. The year that they got Duncan in the draft, David Robinson had back surgery, and they held him out for another 3 months until he came back. That was not a coincidence. And actually, at the time, Robinson was never the one to sort of grumble, but I remember reading. I used to get this it was a newspaper that spoke about basketball. And it came out every week and it had the box scores in it. I can't remember what it's called now. Might have been called Basketball Today or something like that. Anyway, there was an article that had an interview with Robinson in it. So can you imagine what that would have been like today? How that would have blown up on Twitter and socials, that he was disgruntled, and he wanted to come back, and the Spurs were holding him out. So, look, I personally think that's the play that the Spurs have got at the moment. I was very confused why the Spurs kept all 3 of their draft picks in this year's draft that just went past. I assumed they were going to trade at least one of them.
Yeah.
Now that Murray's gone, that makes a whole lot more sense. They also lost Lonnie Walker, so that's 2 spots they needed to fill.
Yep.
I like where this is going for the Spurs. They're doing a very stealth, the process rebuild.
Yeah. And this is look, I feel like they're a smart organization, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
So they're definitely they've got it. They definitely think long term.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
What does this get for the Hawks? So this gets the best player. The Hawks get the best player. And I think in terms of, we spoke about this last week with Detroit, with the fit with Cade. So the fit with Trae Young and Dejounte Murray is like that, but on steroids. And essentially what Detroit will be hoping to be in, say, 5 years.
Yeah.
So all the things that Trae Young can't do, Dejounte can come in and do. He can defend the best perimeter player. He can play make if there's a whole lot of ball pressure on Trae Young. And that means the Hawks can vary up their offense a lot. So now essentially Trae can play like a 2 guard.
Yeah, the
coming off screens, shooting.
The 1-2 combo for these two is the upside is amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be really good. I love it a lot. I think also too it's going to put a lot of pressure onto other teams' defense, because then they've got 2 absolute gun ball handlers that can push and create offense. And I think they can create for each other.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of potential there.
Yeah. Do you think they bounce back after last season, the Hawks? Do you think their system now, the way with the changes they've made, really puts them back in contention in the East?
With Capella, John Collins, Trae Young, and Dejounte, like that's a really, really good starting
That's a formidable. That's a formidable squad.
And sure, whatever sort of goes into that, last spot, whether it's Kevin Huerter, whether it's Kevin Knox, is it going to be someone else that's, I don't know, but I like that a lot.
It's exciting,
I really
sure.
do.
Yeah, that's.
And so I think coming full circle, considering the fact that we're a basketball card trading show, what does this mean for card values? So I think for me, the list that I put together for the Spurs is Keldon Johnson. He's number 1 with a bullet for me. I think he's going to have a lot more offensive responsibility, and I also suspect too he's going to have a bit more ball handling responsibility. So I think for him it's going to be a real developmental league, and essentially the Spurs going to see as far as he can go.
Yeah,
I think if you're looking for another type of investment or someone else to buy into that's not Keldon Johnson, you can look at Primo.
Okay.
He'll be the starting point guard. He was a rookie just this season gone. The other one, if you're looking for a bit of a smoky, is going to be Romeo Langford. He was a Celtics rookie. He had a lot of size coming out of college. Actually, he was a very highly touted prospect.
Yeah.
I like him. I'm holding a little bit of Langford already, so I'm sort of, hoping that's going to go well. And then Devin Vassell, I think the way that he can play both sides of the ball, very raw last year, but you could also see him with increased opportunity, which I think is going to happen now that Dejounte is gone.
Yeah.
Where will he end up in terms of card value? I probably think they're the guys who you'd be targeting the most.
Yep. It's very interesting that, so instantly when you discuss, as far as the hobby goes, when you just discuss a trade, the instant reaction that I see around the internet is people like, Trae cards are going to go up, Dejounte cards, people are going to be jumping on Dejounte.
Yeah.
It's not even, Trae's probably the one that they're going, it's close, but a trade doesn't just impact the individual player, it impacts the whole team. And
100%.
And that's, as far as the hobby goes, it's the impact for both teams.
Yeah, definitely.
You've got people changing positions, you've got people being replaced at positions, you've got opportunities being given on one side or the other. There's a lot that happens hobby-wise from a simple trade.
Yeah. Who are you looking at the Spurs now that Dejounte's been traded?
I'm not looking at the Spurs anymore.
Yeah, okay.
Now that they're in tank mode, I'm pretty much. Look, it's not. I think Pop's got his coach's record. They're just developing players now.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? Like I think they're going to try a lot of different things. They're going to get some minutes into the kids, and they're going to see what works and what doesn't, and then gradually, whoever doesn't acclimate to the system will be moved on, and then they'll use picks. I think next season you might see a little bit of development, but once they've got their next wave of picks, that's when the value is going to be in the Spurs.
Yeah.
So I'll start putting together a more futuristic looking list.
Yeah.
I think they're just going to, as Dejounte Murray put it, they're not going to be contending for anything anytime soon. They're just
no, they're definitely not.
And that's like I don't see value there because these players may or may not work out. They'll get exposure and they may move on, but there's no sort of instant impact in my eyes anyway. I think Atlanta's where there's going to be some interesting stuff.
Yeah, sure.
I think success for a franchise brings players to the forefront.
But going back to the Spurs just for 2 seconds, so I think with those guys getting opportunity, I think that also brings card opportunity too. So I suppose that's where I'm going. That's where I'm going with that.
Yeah.
And I understand what you're saying that, if you're not really interested in prospecting that space, that's fine.
Yeah.
Look, and I accept that 100%. But I would probably say also too, to discard that altogether, probably there's still definitely some opportunities there. I mean, the absolute standout for me though is Keldon Johnson. I think if you
for sure
wanted just to choose one, you're like, I only want to pick one. I want to get say one player off the Spurs this year. That would be definitely the one I'd be buying because.
Yeah. Well, you make a valid point, a very valid point that even though they're developing, someone's going to be the number one guy in San Antonio, right?
Well, I think it's going to be Keldon Johnson.
If that's the case, then obviously you're going to see going to see a spike in numbers, right? If it hasn't already happened.
Yeah,
so
and look, the other three that I mentioned, Primo, Romeo, and Vassell, fair enough. Like they're pretty deep cuts, and look, that's probably also something I did want to talk to you about in a future episode. We're constantly prospecting.
Yep.
But why don't we do a show or a segment in a show? What's a sure thing? Because I feel like, do we over prospect? And maybe that's my own thought process because I enjoy the prospecting part a fair bit.
Yeah, I think doing an episode, a bit more of a deep dive into what, not over prospecting, but when is it time to cut bait?
Oh, interesting. I never thought it like that.
But do you know what I mean? Like, are you always looking at potential, or are we? At what point is potential turning into a rise or an actual trajectory? Yeah, career trajectory. It's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Because there are players that you'd still say that are in, people are prospecting on them.
Yeah.
Years and years in, and each player blooms at a different time. Yeah.
Yeah, look, cool.
It's something we can definitely explore for sure.
100%. Let's do that too, man.
Awesome.
All right. So then the Atlanta Hawks. So, and you've already touched on this. So talk to me about what you think is going to happen.
I think Trey is the obvious one that's going to be, if they taste success as a result of this trade.
Yeah.
I think it puts Trey's value up. Like it's all about success, right? If Trey Young is part of a successful team rather than a struggling making up the numbers in the conference team, do you know what I mean? Like it's more impactful.
Yeah.
Like if he's putting up big numbers on a team that's winning, then they get more recognition, I guess.
Yep.
And gets on the radar. Success breeds success, and I think it's good it'll be both. The head, obviously, the key two players are Dejounte and Trey, but I suppose who's the other piece? Who's that fifth player in that starting lineup?
I suppose DeAndre Hunter could be the other guy too.
Hunter could be an interesting prospect because there hasn't been a lot on Hunter, and I funnily enough, I liked Hunter when when he was drafted. It could be a very interesting opportunity. It could, especially with team success, you might see, Hunter could be a good one to jump on.
I want to retract my comment about Kevin Knox. I feel actually a little bit embarrassed already. It's not going to be Kevin Knox. Like,
you never know, it might be.
What am I smoking?
We could be digging up archived footage of this episode when Knox just goes off, right? And we'll claim that you heard it here first, even though you wanted to retract the statements.
All right, so here's this is what I think is going to happen in Atlanta for these two guys. And I only think there's two people worth talking about in Atlanta, Trae Young and Dejounte Murray. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Dejounte Murray coming to the Eastern Conference and being an all-star, that's going to be a tough push. I think he was a little bit lucky last year to be an all-star in the West. Mm-hmm. And I think the guard play in the East is just a little bit better because realistically, he took Westbrook's spot in the Western Conference. Not trying to trigger you. Practically, I think that's how it played out. So, yeah, I think that. Now, interestingly, on card value at the moment, Trae Young is actually on a landslide down. So he's down 33%. His current price is $540. Dejounte Murray, on the other hand, is up 16%, and his current price is $640. So if you're talking to me about buy, hold, and sell, to me, sell Dejounte Murray. If you've been holding Murray for 5 years, you've made an absolute killing. Congratulations. Enjoy it. Cash out. I think Trae Young's a buy at the moment.
He is?
I think so. I think if he's cheaper than Dejounte Murray, I think his, overall star power is infinitely higher.
Yep.
And realistically, if they do have team success, even if it's because of the advanced stats that you can't see because of Dejounte Murray, I think Trae Young is going to get the credit for that.
Pop count's high, but price on the silver PSA 10s it's tempting, isn't it?
Well, more to the point, when do you think it would bottom out?
Where do you think it bottoms out?
Yeah.
I think it stabilizes now. I think it stabilizes at this price. But
if you said to me at the start of this show, Trae Young is cheaper than Dejounte Murray, would you have believed that statement? Honestly.
No, I wouldn't have believed that. No, I wouldn't. You're right. I would think that, Trae. It surprises me what his silver prisms are going for.
I'm shocked.
Is that a reflection on a poor season from the Hawks, though? Like, we can't obviously see back into the regular season as much, and we're kind of in off-season playoffs territory where he was out, where they were out.
I mean,
yeah,
they weren't out that long, were they?
You know what we need? We need Card Ladder to sponsor us so we can see further and get a pro account.
I've done nothing to action. I've done nothing to action that, mate. I'm not going to lie to you.
It's all right. I'm just hoping that they listen to the show and they're just going to flick us a sponsorship. Yeah, here's a pro account. Start giving more historical data.
I'm not sure. Yeah, anyway. We can always
But
hope.
yeah, like the silver, the PSA 10 silver price of around that 500 US shocks me for Trae Young. I mean...
So it's down $250.
Is there value there?
Look, I think at the moment...
Do you buy... All right, so your advice was to sell Dejounte, right?
I think at that price...
Yep.
I think it's okay.
At 500...
I'm making... Hang on. Oh, sorry. Just to add that to that, though, I'm also making assumptions that the people who have bought that guy are like hardcore collectors and have probably been holding that, say, for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, fair.
That's what I'm basing that assumption on.
Mm-hmm.
I interrupted you.
Is Trae a buy at the 500 US mark?
Look, I think what we're seeing at the moment is, to be fair, there's a little bit of financial uncertainty in the world. I think we can say that without being controversial. So the US data for economics came out today. So they're officially in a recession as of today.
Yep. So, and that doesn't surprise me in the slightest.
I think, to be fair, a lot of this type of Trae Young, Luka Doncic, LeBron James, Kobe, that sort of high end, the big player stuff, people do buy that stuff as investments. And if they're now got, financial issues, like whatever that is, I can see how they'd be selling that. And I can see why a card like this would go down in that manner. And then on the flip side, someone like Dejounte Murray, who is, more collected than flipped.
Yeah.
I can also see why that would be a bit more steady.
Interesting.
In terms of people becoming more seasoned collectors, I can also see why they'd want to sell that out and buy, say, something numbered or a nice patch or an autograph or something like that.
Yeah.
I get that too. So I think realistically, maybe there is a little bit of a reset happening at the moment, but does that mean that it's still not the right time to buy this card when it's gone down 33%? Despite all of that, I still think it's a good time.
Yeah.
I am genuinely surprised to see that at that price.
Yeah. It does shock me a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you know, because I like to flick around and do stuff. Interesting, because you don't obviously can't see what I've got on my screen, but I've just moved across to the BGS 9.5.
Sure. Of Trae Young or Dejounte?
Trae Young.
Sure.
Last sold for $475 US. That is $65 different between the BGS 9.5 and the PSA 10.
Yeah, it's super interesting, isn't it?
That said, the population on this is 193 on the 9.5s. So the population on the silvers are 2,000 odd, but that means
it's the same card. Like
that means there's a lot of high end. That means there's over 2,500 like high end.
Yeah.
Of this silver prism.
Yeah. They're not scarce, are they?
They're not. Interesting though. Just interesting to see the BGS and the PSA so close. I guess would be my.
That is unusual, particularly at the moment. I'll say that.
Yeah, seeing the $800 mark versus the $475. That's the kind of gap you normally see between the two, and it's something a bit different.
So, add final thoughts before we close this bad boy off.
Watch this space on the Atlanta Hawks. They've got a mean 1-2 punch now.
Yeah, that's awesome, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good to see. I do. I was happy to see Atlanta finally sort of take a step up. Not last season, the season before. Unfortunately, they didn't sort of follow through this year. I think with this move, they are positioning themselves quite well.
Yeah, it's a home run. Yep. Congratulations to the Hawks and the Hawks fan. I think they're in for a fantastic year.
I hope so. I hope it's going to be good basketball to watch. That's my big thing about it. So as long as it's good to watch.
Should we talk about Jalen Brunson?
Shall we?
Yeah, I think he's worth a mention.
Yes, let's do it. Where is Brunson?
So Brunson signed for 4 years in New York City. He's getting paid some hideous amount of money, like $25 million a year, something ridiculous like that.
Jalen Brunson.
I think this is really interesting because this is not the first time we've spoken about Brunson on the show. If you had bought him, say, 12 months ago, I think you're paying around, $50 for a PSA 10. He's currently sitting at 200.
There's a bit of a spike, and I think that was through the playoffs, wasn't it?
Yeah. I still put him as a buy at the moment.
Still got him a buy at 200.
My reason is because he's going to be the lead guard in New York.
Yeah,
they've spent this money on him. That's it. He's playing.
He's playing.
If he plays less than 30 minutes a game, I will be absolutely astonished.
Yeah.
I just can't see it happening.
I can see it happening in New York because they're a train wreck. But yeah.
I mean, the last couple of years they have been better. I'm not super sold on this move, to be honest. But at the same time, he probably fits Randall's timeline a bit better than the rest of the roster does. So that it kind of makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And also, too, the pieces that they moved out to create cap space, they weren't pieces they were truly going to miss. So on the other side of that, actually, I don't mind this at all. And I would probably say, too, if things went really terrible, I think they'd be able to trade him.
Yeah, fair.
It's
fair.
Look,
it's interesting to see that he's had a couple of spikes now.
He's going to be on national TV a lot. He's going to be playing in the Garden.
So 280 was a spike back at the 22nd of May. Yeah. And his biggest spike was April 26th, where he sold for 400 USD for the silver. Yeah,
that's right. So
that's a big spike. So you're right. And even though he's playoff performance based.
That's right. Even though he's up 50%, you can still see that if you're buying at 200, there's still a bit more room to move there.
Yeah.
Look, PYT prices for New York are always higher, sort of irregardless of what prospects they've got. It's just that sort of cachet that comes along with the Knicks. I would definitely think that influence will also be reflected in Jalen Brunson. So if you're a Knicks fan, you like, supporting your boys, I think this is an absolute no-brainer at the moment. I think buying at the moment is also a really good time because things are definitely down. Yeah. It's also down because of the off-season. So, I'm sort of saying a lot of buys at the moment, but I suspect I'll be saying that a lot tonight just for the fact of, the cycle that we're currently in.
And
it's very buy-friendly at the moment.
It is. And you want to try and get ahead of those spikes. You want to try and, the players that are going to get extra opportunities come the new season.
Yeah.
You obviously, more opportunity gives a more opportunity to succeed.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, more opportunity to fail. But we're looking at, these moves are in order to put them in a position to succeed. And if he's going to be the number one guy or number one guard in New York, that opportunity will present itself quite frequently.
Yeah, I think he'll do really well there. Yeah. And I think the way that he scores, even though sometimes Randall's a little bit sort of, ball dominant, I still think he'll be able to generate enough points off the catch and shoot. And also, too, he can he's a little bit stealthy along the baseline. He can cut and move a little bit. He'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yep. Any other players you want to talk about, Ad?
I'd like to mention just quickly, and
Sure.
look, we've had Zion watch last week, so I'm not going to go too deep into prices and things like that. But I would like to talk about, it's two players that we speak at length about.
Yeah.
So Zion Williamson signed an extension worth $230 million, like a max extension, after playing only 85 games.
Yeah.
And that's comparatively to one Ja Morant, who got around, I think it was around 180 million, 190 million?
193 million. Yep.
193.
Yep.
And he's played nearly 200 games and been a dominant force in the playoffs. I just think it's interesting that...
Are you more shocked about Zion's money or Ja's lack of?
Ja's lack of.
Yeah, that's what I'm more surprised about too.
Well, it's funny that it's like, oh, we know Zion's going to be big, and we're like, yep, he ate lots and got really big last year. That he didn't play much basketball though, so I don't know. They've paid him a lot of money.
Yeah,
but I think Ja getting underpaid is probably the story there.
So is this the whole Tim Duncan thing where he was always taking discounts for the Spurs so they could put a better roster around him? Is he doing that type of thing?
Oh, that's a good question.
I haven't read anything about this. Ja hasn't said anything publicly about it, so I'm definitely interested to hear.
Look, your rookie extension's probably not your big payday, although Zion would say otherwise. I think Ja's confident that he is as good as everybody else thinks he is, and that he'll get paid down the track. Like, $190 million isn't really to be sniffed at.
It is a big difference, though. Like $40 million, particularly on the cap, that does make a big difference.
Yeah.
So I need to do a bit more reading into this. The only thing I can think of is that Zion's contract is $230 million, and he's negotiated.
Was that a 5-year extension?
5 years, yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say...
And his Ja's $193 million plus any bonuses that he gets. So if they make the playoffs, he gets an extra $5 million. So Al Horford got paid an extra $5 million because the Celtics made the finals this year. So there's all these different things that they can negotiate and get into their contracts. You know, maybe the way that this is being presented isn't the most truthful representation of it. And actually, maybe Ja can earn $240 million in his contract, but it just hasn't been... Do you know what I mean? How this stuff can kind of be portrayed to sort of get your clicks and, you know, create conversation like we've just done now. So,
For sure.
Look, maybe I'm just getting old and skeptical of the internet.
Clickbaity.
But yeah, I actually find that a little bit hard to believe that it's that sort of... That's a large disparity considering also to the performance and, as you said, how many games they've played.
Well, if I'm reading right, I've lost it. It was on Instagram. Is it Darius Garland?
Yeah, he got
extended. He got paid.
Yeah. And good for him. He deserves it.
It was $230 million, was it? Like a max extension? I think so. It was around that. It was crazy. But yeah, there's been a lot of extensions. One of which, and I just like the numbers game on this one. Nikola Jokic.
Yeah, that's huge.
It was nearly $270 million. So
Well, the largest contract ever.
The largest contract ever.
Yeah.
Now, if anyone wants to have a crack at the maths, this guy earns $100 a minute in his sleep.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, are you talking about on the court? Because it'd be like $100,000, wouldn't it? Yeah.
No. Every minute of every day,
yeah,
he's earning $100 a minute.
How good is that?
That's insane.
Yeah.
Well, it's not. He's clearly like one of the best players in the league. And he's getting paid for it.
Yeah,
so,
congrats.
Yeah. It's just, someone said that to me. It was like, the man's getting paid $100 a minute. I'm like,
that's great.
Even when he's asleep.
Sounds like a dream, doesn't it? So Garland, $231 million up to, so that includes his bonuses.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's pretty much the same as Zion.
Do you know what? I wonder if that's it. Because Garland signed for $193 million, but with bonuses takes it up to 231. I bet you that's what.
You mean Zion and Ja got the same extension?
Yeah, we've been played, Adam.
We've been clickbaited.
Let's touch back
Damn
on
you,
this
internet.
next week. Yeah.
Damn you, internet.
Yeah.
Fool me once. Actually, no, you'll fool me daily. The internet. It's crazy. We are getting old. Jeez.
All right. Let's move on.
All right. Rookie cards.
Yeah.
Rookie cards. Card porn.
Yep.
Our lovely friends. What? I clicked another link, but you sent me this one. A question as old as time, well, at least as old as 1952. Yep. What card is the original rookie card and why?
Yeah.
Now, Michael Jordan, 1984-85 star number 101, or the 1986 Fleer number 57.
Mm-hmm.
The other question, Mickey Mantle, is it the 1951 Bowman 253 or the 1952 Topps 311? I don't have a horse in this race. I don't own either of those cards.
I don't own any of these cards. I've got a reprint of the Jordan.
I think Jordan's
86.
on that chase list, the 86.
Yeah.
What are your
What's
thoughts?
your opinion? I'm happy to go first if you want.
Look, what's the original? The original is the first one, isn't it? The first one that's printed. Doesn't mean it's not the. It doesn't mean it's the most sought after. Just because it's the first or the original doesn't mean it's the most sought after.
Yeah.
That's my opinion on it. So I'll use a modern day example. What version of a rookie card does everybody want?
Yeah.
And if you don't answer Silver Prism, you're wrong. Right?
Yeah.
Yep. So everything's based on the Silver Prism rookie. Hoops comes out first. Hoops is the original. Or the first. But everyone wants the Prism. I think that just sort of sums up my point. Just because it's the first one printed doesn't mean it's the one everyone wants.
Yep.
But if we're going for original, the first one printed. It's a good debate. It's like trying to debate who's the greatest of all time.
Yeah, look, essentially my answer is the same as yours, but just with a slight, different variant. So
less cynicism and
No, I was just gonna say, look, in my personal opinion, I think Select is a better product than Prism. Mm-hmm. I just think that the quality of the cards is better.
Yep.
I think
I quite like Select. Select is amazing.
The autograph cards are really nice. The RPAs are good. They're not as good as, say, Impeccable or
Fair,
iMac or NT, but for what you pay and what you get, it's like a pretty nice product.
Yep.
But my opinion doesn't sway thousands of other people who are trading Silver Prisms every day, and essentially my opinion doesn't count. Like, it just doesn't matter. The fact is, Prism is the card that everyone chases, and therefore that's the rookie card that everyone wants. Like, it's just how it is. Like, do I think that you can find a whole lot of value buying select rookie cards? Yes, I do.
Mm-hmm.
If you're on a bit more of a budget and you want numbered cards instead of base cards for, the same price as what you'd pay for a silver, I'm just sort of giving hypotheticals here, but that's what you can do if you want to pick up some select stuff. So, look, that's my personal preference. I've got a lot more select in my PC than I've got Prism, but, whatever. That's how it is. So then reflecting this back to the question at hand, what's the one that everyone is collecting and trading? Well, it's not the Star 85. Like, frankly, I've never really heard this card talked about before this post. I knew it existed, but I've never seen people trade it high end. I've never seen people, get autographs authenticated on it, which has been going around a little bit with the Fleer rookie at the moment. That's become like, arguably more of a chase card than just like the graded BGS 10 or PSA 10. So I think, the market has spoken, realistically, and this is the card that everyone wants.
Well, it's not like people are going to say, I don't care if you've got a Topps Chrome Kobe, Adam. Do you have the Hoops one?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you can have a Hoops. That's totally fine. But the one that people want is the Topps Chrome.
Yep.
I would also say, too, I've never heard anyone ever speak about this Star card as $1 million card, whereas the Fleer card has been discussed in that way. So
that's true.
I just think that, maybe I'm tiptoeing around that, like answering this question a little bit, but in some ways, it's just how it is. Can you then reflect this back, my original thought onto this equation? Yeah. So if you're looking for a bit more value and you want to get a Jordan rookie card that's a bit cheaper, then maybe that's what you should be looking at, the Star 85. There's no trouble with that. Are we going to touch on the Mickey Mantle?
Oh, we can. I this is like, I've heard of Mickey Mantle. That's as far as I go.
Yeah.
Look, I think the thing they've said is in this, the question is, which is the original. So they're not saying which one's sought after more though. It's weird.
And probably the key point that I missed out here though too is the whole licensing thing. So my understanding though is that Star card's not a license card.
Oh, isn't it?
I don't think so. The Fleer is.
Okay. Who's... Bowman. Tons of fakes since day one. I'm reading some of the comments. I don't know. It's... Yeah. I don't know. It's a controversial one. There's just apparently there's a lot of fakes of the Star one. But you're right. I don't even know if it's licensed. But they couldn't grade it as an 8.5 if it wasn't licensed, right?
So when you get your card graded, they also do authenticate it. So
So it's got to be genuinely...
But at the same time, again, I'm not being pessimistic, but you can have
a fake
fakes
card
that
graded.
do get graded. Yeah, like... And that's the whole sort of controversy at the moment with all these different grading card companies popping up. They just don't have the grading experience to pick them up. So essentially, people who know they have fake cards on their hands who are trying to get them graded, they send them off to PSA, they send them off to BGS, they get knocked back, and they send them off to
other smaller graders.
Insert new grading card company here with the hope that it will get graded so they can, flip it off.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. It's an interesting topic, though. Like, what's the original? Just because it's the first one printed doesn't mean it's going to be the most popular. I think that was our big point on it.
Yeah, I mean, this goes back to our conversation a few weeks ago. We were talking about, modern versus retro. And again, the thing I took away from that is you need to pick the right player, but you also need to pick the right card to buy.
Yeah.
So
in
the
this
right
instance
brand here,
to go with it.
Yeah. And in this instance here, the right card to buy is the Fleer card. It's just simple as that.
Or the Bowman if you're talking Mantle.
Well, I actually declined to comment on that because I literally know nothing about it. The only thing I can say about it is the 52 I've seen a million times. The 51 I didn't even know existed before.
Okay,
today's.
so we go the other one, then the 52. I don't know.
Yeah. The 52 is the...
all right, so the 52 tops, right?
That's
the
the
tops
iconic...
chrome. That's the if you're talking different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, Fleer...
I don't think they had chrome back in 52. I think, it's just like...
I did. It just came out of spray can. It was a bit different. I hope you're grading people aren't chroming, by the way. But yeah, like Fleer was is the Prism brand. It's the iconic brand of that period.
Oh, no doubt about it.
Yeah. And yeah, I guess Star, if it's not fully licensed, it's the equivalent of a hoop set or a smaller set that's not really recognized.
Yeah. So, holding on to iconic, let's move on to our next topic. So, Anthony Edwards Flawless Logoman RPA recently just sold. And I think in terms of iconic cards, this is what really is iconic these days. The Logoman, the on-card auto, it comes in the beautiful encased...
card.
Yeah, with the flawless sticker on it. Like, it's just...
It's flawless.
Yeah. This is what's iconic about it.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's no play on words. The reason the set's called flawless is because the card looks flawless. It's great. Yeah. It's just...
Well, except for the triple Logoman, somehow that wasn't flawless. Are we becoming, like, old and cynical as we go on? Or is that a fair call?
No, it's a fair call. It's a fair call. It's a funny call, though.
Thanks. So, yeah, Anthony Edwards sold for $426,000
That's nice.
Via golden.co. What's your thoughts on this, mate?
I think someone's investing in the Ant-Man. That's what I think. It's a good investment, though. Like, he's... I don't know. I feel like someone has paid a future price, though.
Yeah. I knew you were going to say that, actually. I was literally waiting for you to... That's like your...
Yeah. Well, I could go back to requesting we regulate the hobby, but we'll talk about future prices.
Yeah. So, is that the best money you could have spent on a basketball card? If you had $426,000 and you had to spend it on a card, what would you buy?
If I had that kind of money?
Yeah, like, if this is what you had, would you buy this card for that price? Or would you buy something else?
I'd probably buy something else.
Yeah.
I'm not paying future prices for stuff. If I've got that kind of money,
yeah,
like, I'm trying to find a bit more current. I'm looking at bigger stuff that's... Yeah, no, I'm not... I feel like I wouldn't spend more than $300K on that. And that's probably paying a little bit futuristic.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, cool.
But I would put that card at $300K.
So you put that card as about 30%, 35% over what it's worth, is what you're saying. Okay.
Yep. And that's... And funnily enough, that's like... Imagine this is a 10-year investment, right? And you expect that card to go up, I don't know, a few percent every year. That 30% might be where it's headed in a decade.
Yeah.
So someone says in 25 years' time, hopefully Anthony Edwards has had an amazing career and that rookie card's worth $1.2 million. Yeah. Or goes the other way. But yeah, it feels like a very future prospect. Really wanted to... There were obviously two people bidding on this card that really wanted it.
Yeah, definitely. For it to get that high, there's something definitely at play there. I couldn't agree more.
I don't know. Maybe they watched Hustle and just really liked his performance. There were a lot of people that said he should turn to acting after his basketball career. Versus Shaq, who was told not to ever act again.
Yeah.
When...
just do kids' movies, Kazam.
Oh, boy. But,
so,
yeah. Interesting.
There was a massive Wolves trade this week, which we actually have deliberately not spoken about. Off air, we decided that we wanted to do a bit more of a deep dive and sort of,
I'm
do it
glad.
justice.
I'm glad you're pointing it out. It might look like we're not knowledgeable about what's going on.
No, so we definitely know about the Gobert trade. So, but very quickly and relevant to this card, I actually think it puts a lot of pressure onto Anthony Edwards and it puts a lot of pressure onto D'Angelo Russell because I think having two massive dudes on the court, that puts a lot more pressure onto your ball handling. So I think in many ways this year is going to be a sink or swim year for him because he's either going to be able to get to the basket with the space that they've got or he's not going to be able to get to the basket because there's two big guys clogging up the lane.
Karl Anthony Towns is going to be out on the 3-point line where he loves to be.
That's true, but Gobert realistically
lives in the paint.
He's not really a 3-point shooter. So I think, and is that going to put a lot more pressure onto his jump shooting? So I think that to me, look, I'm really high on Anthony Edwards, so I don't have a massive problem with this sale.
Yeah.
I don't
have a problem with the sale at all.
The other reason why I think it's pretty decent too is because we spoke about, the card to buy. This is the card to buy. The other thing we've spoken on today's show is that the current economy. So are we going to look back on this in 12 months and say, how on earth did that card only sell for this much? Because was the economy at play here?
That's true. So, yeah.
That's one part of it that I see, and taking it back to my original question that I was talking to you about. Look, I think at the moment, the LeBron James autos and patches, because there's also been a lot of high-end LeBron being selling the last couple of months. And the way that he signs or doesn't sign, and I think the career that he's had, and he's still building on his career, I just think that, maybe the person who bought this card was looking for a high-risk investment and they love Anthony Edwards. So this ticked off a lot of boxes for them.
Yeah.
And it's going to bring them a lot of joy either way. And if you've got this much money, like maybe it's like me buying a packet of Mosaic from Toy World that I did today. Maybe that's the context that we're talking about here.
Yeah.
But if this was me, I think I'd be just buying up, say, one really nice LeBron or maybe two if my cash would stretch that far. You know what I mean? So I think that's probably like where my head's at the moment. Because who knows, like how many times is Edwards going to sign for the next 20 years? Like, who knows, Whereas LeBron, I wouldn't be surprised if he just doesn't sign again.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and look, truth be told, if I had over $400,000 to spend on cardboard, I'd be increasing my Kobe PC, as well as probably acquiring a LeBron and a Curry. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I don't know if I'd be prospecting on a rookie, like a rookie's RPA.
Yeah.
But
look,
obviously
Curry,
the reward of
Curry's a good answer too, mate. Yeah.
If Anthony Edwards goes through the roof, then obviously the return on that's amazing.
Yeah.
But I think if I'm investing $400K and I'm buying a LeBron or a Curry or a Kobe or a Jordan, I'm not losing at all.
Yeah.
Those cards are going up.
Yeah. Probably smaller percentages, but over the time, they're the ones that...
But they are the sure thing.
Yeah. So I think my closing thought on this is that there's been, let's be honest, there's been a fair bit of negativity and there's been a lot of unrest, I think, in the hobby.
Yeah.
And when you see stuff like this, I think for me, this gives me a lot of like reassurances that, people aren't cashing out. They're not just flipping everything that they've got to, get out of the hobby. Like clearly, again, this is not every single card. I don't want to state in the obvious me saying that, but I think a card like this really does actually hammer home probably how healthy the hobby is.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, some low-end stuff has gone down. Do you know what? That's probably not the worst thing in the world to happen. But when we've got stuff like this happening, well, actually, to me, this just reinforces just, how good of a spot we're in.
Yeah. I totally couldn't agree more. The future of the hobby is bright.
Oh,
and
this is...
economic unrest is going to impact everything.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not just basketball cards that are going to be impacted by
petrol's
recession.
$2.40 a litre at the moment.
Yep.
It's
insane. Yeah. It is actually, and that's the thing. Like, the Reserve Bank's about to announce another interest rate rise. Like it's
yeah.
It's not good times coming up, but this too shall pass, if that makes sense. You know, it's buckle down, weather the storm, and in 5-10 years' time, whatever you didn't fire sale through the recession, you'll be able to make a mint on.
Yeah.
And things bounce back, is what we say, yeah.
And on the flip side too, because I was talking to someone else about this recently, so they are sort of projecting to going to need to sell some of their collection. I'm just retorting to what you just said then. I think that's also kind of a really cool thing about this hobby too. If you do need to sell out and get some cash, you actually are holding something that has some value.
Yeah.
So I think that's a little bit, to me, maybe different to other hobbies that I've had in the past, where it almost seems like you spend that money and it's gone, whereas this is like, I quite like that too.
Yeah.
Hey, I just want to end the show on a more positive note. So I was thinking, because we just spoke about recessions and, doom and gloom a bit. Can we do a fan question?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Is it a good one? Is it a good fan question?
I think it's pretty good.
I mean, I haven't heard it. This is the first I've heard, so
I've put it into the running list. That's, So this is from Samuel Scare. So Samuel, again, you have been supporting our show a lot, mate. So thank you for all your support.
Really appreciate it. Even though I haven't read the question yet.
I'm going to read this to you as it was put into the chat too, by the way.
Brilliant.
Who's your dark horse for the chip next year? I'm just imagining Samuel say that, by the way, too.
Who's your dark horse for the chip next year?
So I think for me, that means that you have to take out Boston and you have to take out Golden State.
Well, I'm on the Lakers, right? I'm joking. You're so much easier to trigger than me.
You're just like every other Lakers fan.
Oh, come on.
It's actually, I find you guys quite sad, to be honest.
Oh, says the Kings.
That's probably
the Kings fan.
That's probably the hardest words I've had for you.
Yeah, so far. This is true. Yeah. This is true. Sneaky dark horse. I wouldn't. There's a few moves that have been made. Oh, so we can't say the Celtics.
Nah, Celtics is out.
Okay.
Because they're not really a dark horse now. They've been to the finals.
I think they've just gone to favourite for the East after their acquisition. I don't know how they got Brogdon, but anyway, that's insane.
It's a steal.
Interesting. You give your thoughts. I'm gonna have a think on it. It's the Kings, isn't it?
No, actually, I was gonna say Dallas because they've quietly been building a roster that's A, financially sustainable, and B, makes sense in the current NBA. So they picked up Christian Wood for a steal. So that guy is talented. He might have a few locker room issues, but I also suspect too, now that he's going to a very stable environment, I think that's going to mean a lot. I think the Brunson loss is going to hurt them, but I'd also say too that that just gives Dinwiddie more opportunity. And I think he is a legitimate piece. And I think Luka is an absolute superstar, and I think he's only going to get better. So, you need that superstar piece to get over the hump. And I think that, they have all of that, plus more. And
spades,
I think the pieces they picked up in this offseason too have been pieces they needed to grab. So
I'm going to give one that's pretty obvious, and then I'm actually going to say I'm surprised you didn't say the Kings because I think they've actually recruited quite well. I actually think Sacramento are going to be a surprise packet. I think
really,
I think Sabonis. I don't know. I think it's a more balanced side now. I think it'll be interesting to watch.
And look, I'm happy that you're giving the Kings some love. So,
but I'm talking about playoffs, making the playoffs.
I was gonna say
not the chip. As far as the chip goes, dark horse is the Pelicans.
Yeah, that's actually kind of cool. Yeah, that's a really good answer. I like that a lot.
I think the Pelicans have built a good team without Zion.
Yeah,
and now Zion's looking good and coming back.
They're putting a beast into that mix.
If they put that beast into the mix and it fits, watch out.
Yeah, why can't it fit? By the way, too.
No, I don't look. There's no reason it doesn't work.
Yeah.
That is scary.
Because if you think about their roster,
CJ McCollum, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, and who's their big? What's his name from Valanciunas?
Yeah, and no massive personalities there that.
They're just players that want to win. Except for maybe Ingram's got a bit of a chip on his shoulder, but
I don't know. I don't think he's the type of guy that's going to, kick off too much. So.
No, not kick off, but he's just ISO heavy. Like look, sorry, actually, no, this is the Ingram I knew from a couple of seasons ago. So
I don't know. I think, particularly the way that Zion,
he's matured a lot, actually, Ingram.
When he played as point Zion, that's great for Ingram.
Yeah.
If you've got someone creating offense for you, that's, fantastic.
So, very...
Okay. Yeah, I like your answer.
I think the Pelicans will be interesting. Anyone in the East? Does the East change much, is my question.
I think Trae Young is definitely going to shake up the East a little bit. I think that's going to move the standings around a little bit.
The Dejounte, Trae Young pairing.
Yeah, I think that's really nice.
Mm.
But dark horse to win the whole thing. There's no one that's really, yelling out to me. You could say the Bucks are a dark horse, but are they a true dark horse? Like, it's more just, are they going to be healthy and then is Giannis going to do his thing?
Yeah.
But I don't think that's really a dark horse pick. Like, I think a true dark horse pick is like Dallas or Pelicans.
Yeah.
I think that's a better answer. Yeah.
I mean, the Hawks could come out and just wipe people.
That's a dark horse pick.
That's a dark horse, yeah. I've had the Hawks as a dark horse to make the playoffs for a few years in a row, and I was glad to see they actually did well a couple of seasons ago. But yeah, taking it all, like, look, the Murray trade, they probably need to make another move in order to be a lot more solid. But we'll see. Yeah, we'll see who they pick up in free agency as well.
All right, Ad. I think we should tie it off, mate. We're over the 1 hour point.
All right, let's let's wrap this up and put it to bed.
Yeah, definitely.
It's been another. I reckon we're going to get another crazy week of trades and signings. So I think next week maybe we do a breakdown of your, as you said, the Gobert trade.
Yeah, we
and how that's going to impact both teams.
It's a massive haul.
Because I do like the idea that a single player going elsewhere impacts more than just that player's trade value.
Yeah.
Like their card value.
Definitely.
So let's go and explore some of that. All right.
Yeah. So I think we should also have an informal agreement too. If KD or Kyrie gets traded, we do like an emergency podcast.
Yeah, right. I'm in for that.
Because
once I've finished crying, if it's Kyrie to the Lakers, I'll be crying.
For me, it's just Titanic, that type of stuff. Like, I just eat this stuff up like Wheat Bix in the morning,
After my team hits an iceberg, we do an emergency podcast. Great.
When they re-sign Westbrook, we will also do an emergency
he's already
podcast.
Exercised his option. He's staying.
But they'll give him another contract. Like,
you
how
reckon?
Good would that be? No, I don't. But
LeBron's out of contract, isn't he? At the end of the year, he's got to extend or not. I don't know. I don't want to think about it. Just let the pain end, please. God. All right. Well, yeah. Thanks to everybody for hanging out and listening. And yes, we'll be back with more league crazy next week.
Have a great week, guys. Thanks so much.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.